One of the things I'm most proud of is our mental health department, where we provide low-cost counseling to special needs individuals and their families. During times like this is something that everyone can use. What are you doing? Oh my God, he's teasing me.
Sorry about that. Here we are. Saturday at home. This is about things happening. God, see, we're already starting to freeze. But I'm gonna let it go. I'm just gonna keep talking, and if it freezes, it freezes. We are.
The pandemic goes, everyone's technical difficulties are actually getting worse.
I think you're right. I really do. I think you're right, and we'll just have to see how we
Okay. At least we're under the rainbow again.
We're under the rainbow again. So, what's going on, Navah?
I was the under the rainbow thing.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, what are you talking about? The reality is, I watched that movie with Ed.
It's over.
He's obsessed.
That's all right.
Oh, yay, Chelsea's
we are
still
back
on too. Oh, goody. Okay, so, I'm sorry about that. It was all Matt Asner's fault.
Okay, so where were we?
I was telling you
you're about Over the Rainbow.
Yes,
I was under
that
the,
Eddie
you were
is
under
in
and I
this
was over.
new spin of watching Wizard of Oz, and he doesn't like watch it. You know how he watches movies like with his iPad and his phone and watching a movie from the side of his eye. He is riveted. Every time he's riveted,
which is amazing because he's never like that.
I know, with any movie, and he sings the song in this beautiful bell voice, and even music therapist Judy said she's very impressed by his singing.
No, he's a good singer. He's a very musical child. Thanks very. Okay,
it's from his mom.
So
actually, I get it from my mama, who's a she was a very famous opera singer, and she gave it all up to be my dad's.
And I've heard her sing opera. She's very good.
Huh?
I've heard her sing opera.
Yeah, she's got a great, amazing voice.
Juliet.
Yes.
So hi, Juliet. So we're going to talk to Chelsea Darnell, their first guest.
Yes.
Chelsea Darnell, as always, for our kind of Hollywood chat.
Chelsea
moment.
is the Ed Asner Family Center social director. She started this amazing social club. Because of the pandemic, our social clubs were pulled, and she started this amazing social club that has expanded to this amazing group of young adults and adults who really have something to look forward to every week. And it's so wonderful. And now we're expanding even further. And Chelsea's joining Chris and I on our Dating on the Spectrum, which starts the week of January 12th. And we only have a very, very few in-person slots. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Shelby at asnerfamilycenter.org. And it's going to be amazing and so much fun.
And that's Dating on the Spectrum.
Dating on the Spectrum. And it's not about matchmaking as much as setting yourself up with tools to get out into the dating pool and find love and really feel like you have that extra kind of support. We're also going to offer a one-on-one coach, one-on-one relationship coach too, if you'd like that. That's kind of like a la carte thing if you want to do
something that everyone could use.
Yeah, it's really, really wonderful. And for us, because you and I have a child who's going to be in the program, an 18-year-old Will, we're going to have a free program that's a relationship parental coach for parents who feel that they need the nudge to let their little bird fly. Because I know a lot of parents like myself, you get very enmeshed in your child. It's very hard to separate. And this program, this incredible program, Dating on the Spectrum, is only going to be successful if you work with your child and allow them to have that independence.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nice program. Way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's bring Chelsea in. Chelsea. How are you?
Oh.
How's it going this week?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. So, what's the movie for movie chat this week? We have a movie chat that Chelsea does every Saturday at 7:00. So this Saturday it is.
Tomorrow we're going to be discussing Jersey Boys. It's one of my favorite movies. I've
Jersey
seen it at
Boys.
least 7 times. I've seen it at least 7 times when it was.
Lots of good music. And so you watch the film and then you kind of get on the chat and talk about it. And
you watch the film anytime before tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And to join that, you just give Shelby an email at shelby@teafc.org and just say, hey, I want to join.
Yeah.
And then she'll send you a link to join and it'll be really cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, and you're starting another movie chat. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. It's our movie chat 2.0. As of yet, it's going to be the Monday of every month. And it's going to be more intense movies. The other group is pretty much 18 plus, but this group is very much 18 plus. You must be 18 at least to join it.
And this program, this movie chat 2.0, it really isn't for everyone. There's some very intense films shown. It's for it's for people who really love that genre, and a lot of kids don't love that.
And
so
the first film is Fargo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very heavy movie. Very heavy and bloody.
Funny, but very heavy movie.
Yeah. So it's very exciting because, I mean, I love horror movies. I love serial killers movies. I don't love serial killers.
That was weird. I love serial
killers. Have you seen a show on Netflix? Max and I were just talking about it because his dad has a role in it called Mindhunter.
I've heard of it.
Oh my God, Chelsea. It is the best.
That.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the greatest show, but that would also be a 2.0 for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So what are we talking about in entertainment? What's happening?
So today we have a really interesting story, and a lot of fellow autistic self-advocates were talking about it. So Sia, the singer, she does, Chandelier. And she, she features that one girl from Dance Moms in all of her music videos.
Yes.
So she cast her for this movie called Music. The character's name is Music. Maddie, she's the character Maddie's playing is nonverbal autistic, and a lot of people took issue with it because she chose a neurotypical actor over an autistic actor.
Right.
And I could see the concern. And then apparently like some self-advocate was like saying something about like, why did I get like these roles? And then Sia said something really rude. She was like, maybe you're just a bad actor.
Oh, wow. Well, that's probably the wrong thing to say.
On Twitter, that's what you said. But this is why I watched the trailer for this movie, by the way. And okay, so it's a very complicated opinion because I usually don't take issue with neurotypical actors playing autistic characters as long as it's done with care. That being said, I was offended by this particular portrayal,
Really?
at least from the trailer. And the reason why is because it feels very self-indulgent. And it's like she's using a disability as a form of pretentious performance art, which I already don't like.
Well, I'm going to have to look at that because
I know I'm going to write it. The name of the movie is Music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have an opinion on all that.
I'm sure you do. What is your opinion on that, Matt?
I do. No, I believe that the beauty of acting, the beauty of performing, is that it's a clean slate, and that as someone who might hire someone in that, as an actor, I think you look at an actor as an actor. So I think if you're walking into a studio or a casting office and you're calling yourself an autistic actor, I think there's something wrong with that. I think you could just gotta call yourself an actor. And I think you've got to go in for as many parts as you can and just do it. Because the beauty of acting and the beauty of performing is that you can do anything. And that's a wonderful thing.
I think there's like, it's complicated because I hear a lot of people on the spectrum like, well, it should have been an autistic actor. And I think maybe for this one, it might have, like, there are certain roles, for example, there are certain shows where there's an actor who's not autistic and they play an autistic character in a very respectful way.
Yeah.
Peter Gilchrist is a very good example. I think he's great on Atypical.
Yeah,
I think
I do too.
His portrayal did not offend me one bit.
I think he's amazing.
I think it's all about the execution and the way they executed it in this particular movie trailer. It just feels very self-indulgent and obnoxious and pretentious. And I'm not really liking that. Because it feels like they're sort of using like autism in this particular case as like an artsy fartsy device as opposed to like an actual just issue. Because at least on Atypical and The Good Doctor, they show him as like a person, as an actual issue. But in this one, they kind of make it this whole weird Sia performance art thing that I always found very pretentious. And I couldn't help but just roll my eyes a little bit. Right. Like,
I think we really can't make an opinion.
No, I mean,
until we see it.
But it's interesting because you mentioned
from watching the trailer, I was just cringing a little bit.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned, that they make it very obvious that this person is autistic, and so
it's not necessarily the obviousness of it. It's more if you watch the trailer, like they kind of like Sia has this whole thing where it's like. She's very what's the word I'm looking for? Very fringy. And like,
right.
Like I don't know the city and there's those pretentious performance artists and they're trying to make some statement, but you don't really know what it is. That's what this trailer felt like. And for some reason, them using her like it was the combination of she's an autistic character in a movie that seems very pretentious and very artsy fartsy and obnoxious. And I felt like it just felt very patronizing. This particular trailer, at least when I watched it, it's less to do with who's playing the role and more about how it was executed.
And so
that sounds, I take Chelsea's word for it.
I agree with that. And I respect that.
Watch the trailer. I'm sure you might even have a totally different opinion. The music.
No, I will. I will watch it.
All I know is that I was watching it and I was cringing the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, has Kate Hudson come out and said anything about it? I think she's in the film, right?
She is in the film. Well, it's really interesting because apparently Sia initially did cast a nonverbal autistic person to play the role that Maddie played, but apparently it was too much for her. But like I get why she casted Maddie, because like Maddie's like her protege. Like it's like I don't know, it's like how she has to put Maddie in everything. You know, like there's like directors, like I'm trying to think, like I don't know, Martin Scorsese, he has like Robert De Niro in almost every single movie he makes.
Or
De Niro and
no, I was gonna say Coppola would put Sophia in all of
yeah,
that.
he put his daughter. He put his daughter in every movie.
Yeah.
But you know, she's gone on to become
she's amazing.
quite a director herself.
No, she's ended up being a very successful
very good
director, just not a successful actor.
Right. Well, we all saw Godfather 3. That's all I can say. So
actually, like, I don't mind her.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I kind of like her.
So so there's another story in the news. Moving on, there's another story in the news.
Yeah.
This woman, Charlie something.
Because Matt is really obsessed with TikTok.
I'm not
really
actually
into it.
I've really only seen TikTok.
And
a
you
couple
only
of
look
times.
at the
I don't know how her last name's pronounced.
recipes. You just look at the chicks.
I look at the recipes.
But basically what happened is this one TikToker, so it was her and her sister. They were doing like a live, like a video, YouTube video, or whatever. James Charles, he's like a makeup influencer. He's also he's known for being the first male model to pose for a CoverGirl shoot. That's the big thing he's known for. But now he's also known for being like a huge YouTuber and influencer.
Is he the one who's friends with Kylie?
What's that?
Is he the one who's friends with Kylie Jenner?
I'm guessing so. Yeah, James Charles.
Okay.
He was over at the house of these two TikTokers, and there was this personal chef, and the personal chef like made this paella, I think it's called, and they're still on the paella. And the girl, the TikToker, she basically was like, "Ew, that's disgusting. Like, what is this?" And James Charles is kind of sitting there, like he's actually being very polite. But this girl, this Charlie D'Amelio, whatever her name is, got in trouble because she was acting very bratty over what this personal chef was making for that night.
Okay. So there were people who were upset because she was insulting the chef. Is that what?
No, that she was just an entitled brat.
She was like, "Ew, this is so gross." Like she was like being like.
And paella takes like 8 hours to make or something crazy.
Actually. It's one of my favorites.
No, but I mean it's a dish that has so much effort to it.
Paella, I love it.
And you finally bring it. With all my extra time, you want me to make you paella?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Why don't you make me paella?
Okay,
How about that?
I will. So, so look, how does someone get 100 million viewers or 100 million members on TikTok, whatever it's called?
100 million?
100 million. She has 100 million followers on TikTok.
I doubt that.
She does. She does. And I saw the statistic. She has 100 million followers on TikTok, and she's had like 700 million likes on her stuff.
I think you kind of have to like promote yourself. You also like, I wonder if you get sponsors, because I know on YouTube, and I know it's different from TikTok, but on YouTube, a lot of them have like Patreon supporters and companies that are funding their videos. So I wonder if TikTok has a similar algorithm.
But that's astounding. Sure. That's an astounding,
I know.
astounding
but
thing.
I mean, I think
if
a lot of
kids, about that. That's more than any viewership or anything.
In 2020, think about the amount of time kids have on their hands to look at social media more so than they would on any other normal year where they're in school. They have after school
It
stuff.
doesn't speak well about our future.
I know.
It really doesn't. That a person like that can have, that many people, and that would worry me. That worries me a little bit about the situation.
Well, Chelsea, so tomorrow is Jersey Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And did we put up how people can sign up?
They go to Shelby at teafc.org and they say, I want to be a part of this amazing social group, movie chat, and they get invited in. That's what they do.
That's right.
Yep. Well, cool. So that's Jersey Boys. That's tomorrow night, 7:00.
Pacific
And,
Standard Time. You got it.
You heard it here first. And Chelsea, thank you very much. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Love you, Chels.
Love you.
Have a great weekend.
Talk soon.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, so a couple of years ago, many years ago,
I'm trying to think. I think it was 2015.
2015, we did Light Up the Blues.
That was a great one with
which
Brandy Carlisle, my favorite singer.
Which was a concert that I created with Kristen Stills
Mm-hmm.
and Stephen Stills and Chris Stills for Autism Speaks when I was with them. And we had an amazing time. So I think this was the second one. And it was at the Ace Hotel, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And Theater at Ace Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And this incredible artist joined us named Zoli Mora and the Strange Kind. And I think they came to us through Chris Hallen, who was at Roland.
Who is at Roland?
And Zoli's joining us right now.
Yay!
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Zoli, how are you?
I'm doing okay today. I'm having it's not super rainy out or anything, and I've been getting some sunlight through the windows. So.
You feel good?
Yeah, I feel pretty decent,
I was remembering that night the other day because we were watching American Idol, and this person started singing this song, and I said, "Oh my God, that's the best song I've ever heard in my whole life." And so I Googled it, and Matt's like looking at me like I'm a maniac, and he goes, "You know that person? We had, we were hanging out with them, and it's Brandy Carlisle." And I had never heard the joke. And I thought, oh my God, this is the best song I've ever heard in my life.
Song.
But that was the year that we were all hanging out, and you had that adorable puppy with you.
I still have her. She's actually over on her little bed sleeping because she's
tiny, right?
Her name's Little.
Little.
Her full name is Little Lola Iola Peabody, aka Little Stinky Baby. That's her whole name.
Wow.
That's her given name.
That's a long, it's at the pedigree name. It's on the pedigree.
She has her own Instagram and Facebook we keep up on Facebook a lot more than Instagram for some reason because,
she's a pretty rare dog, isn't she?
Well, she's a Xoloitzcuintli, the Mexican hairless.
Yeah.
So she's, it's not super, there are not a lot of them all over the place.
No,
but
it's a pretty rare dog.
We adopted her when she was a puppy, so pretty lucky about finding one of those, So
we just got a new dog.
Oh yeah,
We got
been seeing your photos.
Yeah,
she's wild. We got a sheepadoodle, and someone made the point like a week ago or so that we heard, and they call them sharkadoodles, and she's definitely a sharkadoodle.
We're covered in bruises and bites, but there's a sweet sheepdog on the other side of the shark.
Oh no, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah,
and it makes the pain worthwhile. But she's,
my aunt-in-law has a lab or a golden doodle.
Yeah,
named, and I helped them name him. His name is Noodle the Doodle. So, so that I love doodles.
So it's interesting. We had this discussion. You were in the waiting room, I think, when we were having this discussion about Sia. We had this film. That I guess she hired a neurotypical person to play someone who had severe autism, and I was saying that I think that performers are performers. They're not necessarily. I think putting the word autistic or neurodivergent in front of someone's in front of someone, I think is putting a hurdle in front of them. And I think you're a great example of that. You're a great example of that because you're a performer. You're a songwriter, and that's what you are. And that's
I try to bring awareness to the cause of autism through my own autism, but I'm definitely, I'm not an autistic performer. I'm a performer. But I can see, I haven't seen any of it and stuff, but I can see how it can be offensive to have a neurotypical person play an autistic person when there's so many amazing performers out there with autism that could play a person with autism. Just like, you wouldn't want to have a white person playing a Mexican person in a movie about being Mexican. you know, like,
Well, we
that's
certainly
okay.
had that. That's true.
yeah.
True.
So I can see it being like the same thing to some people, in that sense, because, you know, I think it's important to first allow people with autism the opportunity to play autistic characters, because
And I
it's
think-
we're
and I
we're
think-
probably the first ones to get like kind of less of a callback for something, because we're more likely to be attributed to being kind of
Unpredictable.
well, it's more like I tend to find that people kind of they have their friends, they have the people that they call on that are in their corner, and they're less likely to call on somebody that's not there all the time in their face as like somebody, you know.
Yeah.
And so to top it off, people like me, for example, are less likely to be repeatedly hanging out in the social scenes with people, you know, to be remembered, to be thought of in that sense. So I think that more so people that that are doing the casting should look outside of that to actively find artists that are on the spectrum to play spectrum artists and give them that opportunity, as opposed to that. But I haven't seen it, so I have no idea, you know, what I'm.
We haven't seen it either. But,
Yeah,
but I do think that there is a lot of portrayals of people like Wolfie or Zoli, rather than portrayals of severe nonverbal characters.
yeah.
You rarely see a severe nonverbal character. The Red Shoe, the wonderful movie that we saw about the little girl with, God, my mind just went blank. The Red Shoes. You know what I'm talking about?
Is that Janet Grillo?
Yes, Janet Grillo.
I
That
think
was
it's
a
called Red
severe.
Shoes. I think it's something else. But
Anyway, but it's far and
Yeah.
few between.
Well, it's usually in documentaries or things like that, as opposed to in films.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the issues, is that you just don't see those actors. You don't see those actors going out on auditions. I know that Gwen, we have a friend here who has an amazing agency, and her whole agency is representing special needs people. So she has people like that in her, in her agency,
and certainly,
but they're not getting cast.
But certainly, they've come a long way.
For sure. I mean, absolutely. I think Born This Way was a huge help.
And I think I'm pretty sure that the Academy now is kind of
pushing and supporting
in that
much
direction.
more than they did.
I also think that there's probably a lot of actors and musicians that don't realize that they're on the spectrum because they weren't diagnosed as kids, but that a lot of people gravitate towards the arts that are somewhere on the spectrum a lot of times, you know. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't relate to anybody if there weren't people
100%
in the industry on it. Yeah, so I look at it like, you know, I'm not 100% against it. I just think that actively looking for people that are on the spectrum to play spectrum roles first and foremost is, you know, at least a shout out that you're, you know, that you.
I can argue with that. That's very true.
So,
very true.
So Zoli, today we wanted to have you on because you have this vision. You want to make a documentary, music documentary, but there's more to it. And so why don't you explain to our viewers about this wonderful idea you have that you really, you're asking for community support on this.
Yeah. So years ago, I had an idea called In the Spectrum, A Journey Through Autism to the Stars. And it was, originally going to be a documentary based on my own life and experience with getting diagnosed as an adult with autism. Because it's very difficult to get diagnosed as an adult, even though my childhood was all filled with all the typical things you would find in a atypical person. So as I've kind of gotten older, I've been, stockpiling all this footage, and then I've been meeting so many other people who are also on the spectrum. And so that kind of, I started putting on a concert called In the Spectrum to raise awareness about autism. And I invited a lot of different autistic performers to come and perform, as well as showcasing like visual artists who are also on the spectrum. And so I started thinking, this would be a great opportunity to showcase other artists that are on the spectrum if the film evolved into a more inclusive film, and so I've been working on kind of that, and I met this guy, Ken Valdivia, who is a YouTube blogger, and he does all sorts of interviews with other people that are on the spectrum. I met him through our mutual friend, PJ, who was like, you got to check this guy out. And I checked him out and I loved his stuff. So I asked him if he would like to join forces on the In the Spectrum Facebook page, just to kind of give more content, get people, checking it out. And with the idea that we would film our lives and maybe some other people that are also on the spectrum, to showcase people that are not as obviously autistic in certain respects, because I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that people like me, people like Ken, we still have a hard time in certain things, even though we're able to communicate with words, even though we're able to, basically fit into a crowd of people and blend in many ways. There's still certain things that we can't blend in with. And so being able to show what our difficulties are will just help to enhance people's understanding of what autism actually is, on the full view of the spectrum. So that was something that I was kind of working on wanting to do within the next couple of years, to just really showcase that. And then maybe hopefully turn it into a series kind of, where we go around and interview people all over the world with autism about their experience with autism. So, well, fingers crossed, right, that something like that can happen. So
I think it sounds great.
Yeah,
I think
it really does.
And
it gives that perspective, because people, so, I've told you the story that we have 3 autistic sons and each one is totally different. And people just assume because Wolfie's, I don't want to use the term high functioning, but he's needs the least amount of support, that he is, just it's okay. And we don't need to give him, but he actually needs the most amount of support sometimes, because
exactly
he has issues that can be invisible at times. And, and he struggles greatly in other ways. And so I love the idea that this documentary would focus, give people the understanding that even if you don't need as much support physically or, obviously, let's say, there are other things that people like yourself really struggle with. And it makes, it's almost like they think you're passing, so to speak, but yet you're struggling just as much, if not more, in the world.
Well, I find that my biggest struggle has to do still with the social aspect of things. Like I was saying, I am less likely to go, hang out at the shows when people are performing. I'm less likely to go out of my house because I'm actually very agoraphobic, and I've added some places into my comfort zone, but it's always been like that. Like I have to have a very wide comfort zone. I have to go someplace at least a couple times, but with other people in order to fit that into my comfort zone. Yeah. And so I'm less likely to go out of the house and go out to a show, to interact with people or to, do that kind of stuff where they're going to be asking me to play shows with them. I'm less likely to feel more comfortable going to a board meeting, for example, at a record label or something. To go to a meeting at a record label, I remember I was signed to a couple of labels, and I remember going to the meetings with the A&R, and I just had such a difficult time because I get so not nervous, but my body just gets very flustered.
Yeah.
in
Well-
uncomfortable situations. And so that comes across,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little different,
I got to tell you, I feel the same way. I hate board meetings too. I don't like board meetings. They're not fun. They're not fun.
Yeah.
But if you have
meeting people
regular
that I don't know.
anxiety, if you have regular anxiety,
Yeah.
but it's your anxiety manifests in a physical way, it's
Yep.
different. And I have that too. I have physical anxiety rather than just
Yeah.
mental anxiety.
Well, I always tell people that I have off stage fright,
Yeah.
Because if you have me on stage, total comfort zone. I could be up there with all my bandmates.
Wow.
Don't have a problem being around them. But if you get me into a crowd of people, like I come down off that stage, if people start coming up to me and talking to me, I get really flustered. I get very overwhelmed. And I will tend to spend, like I have to put on a persona in order to be around people that is maybe not necessarily the person that I am in my everyday life.
Yeah.
Just be able to just physically get through it.
Yep.
And that came across as being really weird when I was young,
Mhm.
like I would put on accents or I'd put on things that people didn't quite understand at the time, that would help me feel more comfortable. And I didn't realize how much of a asset that ability was when I was a kid until I got older. And I think I told you guys in a private conversation a while back that I actually had a chemical brain injury after my surgery in 2013. And that caused a lot of my motor tics, my vocal and motor tics, to come out really bad. Like, I've never had them like that before. And so it took a long time to be able to get back to a place of what I call my normal, where my speaking rhythm and all that kind of stuff got to where I was comfortable again. But a lot of that, I realized that the accents were a way that I could actually stop that stutter, stop the things that were happening in my brain. And so, so I'm a huge proponent of just, if you hear somebody that, they're putting on an accent, just let them, don't judge them. It's a lot of people, it is a great way to help them through a neurological experience that they're having,
That's awesome.
So reminds me of a story you told me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I do accents all the time.
About someone that put an accent on with you when you met him.
Oh yeah.
Zoli, first of all, I wanted everyone to understand where can they hear your music, because you're an amazing musician.
Thank you.
Where can they get a little bit of the strange kind?
Well, I'm in a couple of projects. Obviously I'm promoting my band, The Strange Kind. You can find us at we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on, you name it. It's at The Strange Kind. You'll find us at, on all those different social media sites. And then I'm also, I started a pandemic music project with my friend, Will Ferguson, and it's called Astronaut Preacher. And so we do dance music. So we started doing some cool, like 1980s style new wave dance music.
We'll have to
check that out.
Have to connect.
That
Wolfie.
Sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah, Wolfie would love that too. I can't wait for you guys to meet. I know you're gonna love him.
I can't wait to meet him either. Yeah, we'll have to plan that for sure.
But I think that we need to, as a community, help Zoli get this movie made. And I'm going to help her in every way I can. And I love this kid. I believe in her. And I really think that this movie needs to be made. And we're going to have you back again, Zoli. But we're gonna just keep pushing this. And I'm just, I just think that this is so important for the whole community, not just for autistics, but for neurotypicals who would see somebody like you said who's a little bit different and speaking with an accent or whatever, and just say, you know what, maybe this person is not who I think they're, or like another story we told, how difficult it is going out on a job interview. I mean, if you could see my leg under the table, I hate sitting still for any length of time. So I'm constantly jiggling my leg. But if you see somebody in a job interview not being
Mhm.
average, typical interview, give them a chance. And these kind of movies need to be made because it gives people another view of a different autistic point of view.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. I think that my biggest issue in life has just been people's misconceptions of me.
Exactly.
And you meet me on a bad day, when I'm having just a really bad anxiety day, and I can barely talk because I'm picking off the charts.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm on some medication.
That's all of us.
Keep pushing the music too, and
take care of yourself.
And we'll talk soon.
You too. You guys have a great day.
Okay.
All right, Zoe.
You too, Zoe.
Have a good one.
Bye.
So she's amazing. You got to check her out.
Yeah.
Zoe Moore and the Strange Kind. And what's the other one? Astronaut Preacher?
Astronaut Preacher.
Astronaut Preacher.
Kind of 80s. That sounds super cool.
that out.
I think Wolfie would dig that.
So,
but I remember she was telling that story, and I remember that we were all hanging out in the after party, and Zoe was with a couple friends and Tiny, and they were outside. And so we went out to them. But she definitely kept her space, and she was outside of the party. And I mean, I do the same thing. I can't stand crowds, and I get very nervous.
Really? Is that true? So our next guest is a good friend of ours, and he's up in Emeryville right now. And Bobby Rubio has been an animator at Pixar for a long time. And if I got your role wrong, you can correct me. But he's an amazing creator, amazing creator. And Bobby, how's it going?
An autism dad.
And an autism dad.
Oh yeah. And that too.
Very important thing. And your short Float. Matt and I were sitting in bed, and he's like, "Oh, I want you to see this. They just sent it to me before it came out. We saw it." And I'm sure everyone who saw that for the first time just needed a Xanax afterwards, because it was just so, I mean, as an autism parent, I think even if you aren't an autism parent, you would be moved by it. But there are so many subtle connections with how a parent feels and how painful some of autism and being an autistic parent can be. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful, as a person from Hawaii and mixed race myself, to see somebody who looked like me, that was a big deal. I love that portrayal and the beautiful family and just one of my favorite cartoons I've ever seen.
And it's from a father's perspective.
Yes.
And I think you rarely see that. And we spoke about that a little bit too. And talk a little bit about what the inspiration for, obviously we know the inspiration for your son, but maybe tell us a little bit about how you kind of had this idea to create this incredible short Float. And maybe, you know what, I think maybe let's take a little look at a clip of Float before we go into, we can actually.
Awesome.
We got technology.
Yeah.
Matt knows people. Matt knows people. He's connected.
So producer, can you play that clip of Float real quick?
Wow.
Just amazing.
So
beautiful.
So who did you cast to make that beautiful little giggle?
That is actually Eli Ficelli. And because this is a Spark short, so we didn't really have a lot of money. So we pulled resources from other films. So Eli Ficelli is the voice of Jack Jack.
Oh,
wow.
I actually said that.
Really?
Yes.
So a lot of
the little kid.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, so awesome.
Yeah, so we
Oh,
pulled that from Jack, and
Yeah.
I mean the house is Bonnie's house from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
wow.
a lot of the background characters are from Toy Story 4. So,
Oh, so awesome.
yeah, that short piece that you showed too, we had showed that at Pixar for the company meeting just so everyone could see what we were working on. So that first 5 seconds or whatever, 20 seconds, blew people away at the studio, and they were jazzed about it. And so seeing it again brings back feelings of, pride and happiness. So thank you for showing that.
Well, I got to be honest with you. When I heard that you were doing this, I got really excited because I've known you for a while. And,
Right.
and-
We met at years ago when you were still when you were still with Autism Speaks.
That's right, at the walk, I think.
At the walk, yes.
Yeah.
I went up to you and I was like, "Hi, I'm Bobby Rubio. I worked with your dad."
I
And
remember. Yeah.
up and not that I met your dad and not like me and your dad are like this, but it was like a little connection there. It was like, hey, I'm Bobby Rubio. So
let's talk a little bit about. I want to talk about the inspiration for the film, but let's talk a little bit. Give a little context on. You've worked at Pixar for a long time.
yes,
Let us know some of the films you've worked on.
been there for 14 years. So the first movie was Up with your dad, and then I worked on Cars 2, Brave, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4. What else? I know I'm missing some. Good Dinosaur.
That was a great one.
There's, it's been so much. It's almost 14 years this January. 14 years.
Well,
That's incredible. That Up came out 14 years ago.
it's kind of crazy.
That's nuts.
And I got to be
know,
honest,
right?
I got to be honest with you. That film is so special to the Asners because
Yeah.
it really created a kind of a second spring for my dad. It really did. It really pushed him into the consciousness again. And he enjoyed making it so much. And it was such a tremendous experience.
He's wonderful in it. Yeah.
And Pete and Jonas and Bob are just the greatest guys. And they were so generous and wonderful to him. And
they were all at our gala.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, they were.
That
they
was
were.
a fun night.
And
Nice. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Where were you and your beautiful wife?
up in North.
Somebody
up in
sent me an invitation.
No way. I know. And this year our gala is virtual.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I must have been. I don't know.
But we'll get you an invite to that.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun.
I can't really talk about it too much.
Top secret, but it's going to be super fun and fun for all the kids too, not just the parents.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll be there.
So this is great because as a dad, you represented dads in this film. And like I said, it's very rare to see a dad role in a movie about autism, whether it's a short or a motion picture. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you and why you decided to make this.
Well, it is inspired by my son Alex, and my relationship with my son Alex, who is on the autism spectrum. In fact, when we were at the run, our team name was Alex R Us. When he was first diagnosed, I didn't handle it well. I was terrible at it. I actually went through a depression, much like the father did. And my wife suggested, you got to get out of this funk. Why don't you tell your story? Because that's what you are. You're a storyteller. And so I originally made a comic book. I was going to do a comic book called Alex. And I did the cover, and the cover was an image of a father and a son in a field of dandelions, and the son's floating. And it was called Alex, and the tagline was a father's journey and a special child. And I was going to tell that story, but I was too close to it. The emotions, I couldn't tackle it then. And so fast forward 10 years later,
Yeah.
my son Alex is growing into a man. And I was like, I really got to tell this story.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time. I got to be brave and do this story. So I storyboarded it. I decided to do a short instead. So I storyboarded it and I was showing it around Pixar to my friends. And they were like, this is pretty good. You should show this to Lindsay Collins, the executive producer of the Spark Shorts program. Because originally I was going to do it on my own after hours.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, you could get this made here. So I had pitched it to Lindsay. Lindsay thought it was the perfect project to go into the Spark Shorts program. And then
how wonderful.
Everything is history, as we say.
Everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen.
It does.
You weren't ready then, and then right at this time.
And they didn't have the Sparks program then. So.
No, they didn't. And so you're probably right. Things happen for, you know what? And even when I met you, Matt, like, I don't think I was ready to let the whole world know that I was an autism parent. In fact, I was really I didn't want to be there at the run.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's a very honest feeling, and
very familiar. We've heard it from so many dads in our groups, in our community.
And
it's usually the mom that drags the dad there.
Right. But I mean, that's actually, it's actually a feeling that I think a lot of dads have, and they just can't deal with it, and it's really hard. And I've always said, it's, when people have asked me what is it like when you hear your kid has autism, I would say, well, look, it's like you're hearing that there are going to be hurdles in front of your child's life. And it's like, how is any parent going to deal with that? That's
right.
They're not going to deal with it in a positive way. It's
at first, no, not at all. Because it's also brand new. It's brand new news. You were expecting this whole different life. You're like, this is what I'm expecting. This is going to happen to my son Alex, and then you get thrown for a loop. It's not going to be that anymore. It's going to be different.
We're all romantics.
Yeah,
we all think it's going to be perfect, and we're
right.
Where our kids are going to be president. They're going to play first team on the baseball team, and sometimes we get thrown curves, and I think moms tend to deal with that a little better than dads.
I would agree with you. I would agree. My wife handled it like a champ. She was great.
Yeah. Well, I think speaking from the mom perspective, I think you take on the maternal, I need to shelter and protect and do everything I possibly can just to make their lives better. And a lot of times, a lot of the parents that I've spoken to in my coaching days, the dad felt that the moms were kind of taking all their times all the time became polarized to the child, as they should, because at that point there's, getting services and all the crap that we have to do. Right. But the dad is suffering, and he's suffering in ways that he might not show and verbalize the way the moms are showing through just work. Work takes your mind off the fear. And I think Matt and I used to do a marital kind of like counseling thing. And I used to say all the time, the most important thing you can do is to really reconnect with each other. Reconnect with each other, even if it's just once a week, but let your husband know and let your wife know that you're still here. You're still a unit. You're still thinking about them. The priorities have shifted, but you really have to check in with each other, because Bobby, 80% divorce rate in our community.
It's definitely a team effort. It really is parenting a child, because like, I know I wasn't doing my share. It got to the point where my wife was like, you have to do something or else.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
You could get through that.
Well, I really think the beauty in this film, in Float, the beauty in Float is in its honesty.
100%.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful film about a father and a son. And so, Alex.
Yes.
So, what does Alex think about the fact
Yeah,
that he's
he's a
like the
star.
subject of this film. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool on the playground, right? When we
Oh,
He's a man now. He's a big guy.
yeah, he's like
Well,
he's like he's 13. So actually, he's
That-
like
No, I know, but 13 is a
Yeah, yeah.
in Jewish culture,
That's-
13 is a man.
that's actually
oh, is
cool.
he? Okay. Yeah, he's like, as any teen, I can't tell if it's because he's on the spectrum or if it's just he's a teenager. He's just like
Whatever.
"Sorry,
Yeah.
Is he a Pixar fan?
not really, not
Oh,
really.
Man.
Yeah, he's like more into video games. So.
Yeah.
yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, we
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
have that one. I
We
mean,
understand.
how is it going? I don't know about you, but how is it going with online learning, Bobby? Because
Oh, I mean,
man,
I will say this: I think Alex likes it because
Really?
in that I mean, he wasn't that as far as interacting with other people, especially if they were super loud in class
Yeah.
and they were annoying everybody. If they were taking over the class, he would tune out and not. He would not listen to class. But since now we're in Zoom, when that person is being disruptive, that person could be zoomed out. That he's
Muted.
muted out. So he actually likes it. But
Yeah.
what I do not like is he's not getting the peer
Social-
interaction.
yeah.
No,
that
it's
I wish he was having.
Yeah.
really, really tough.
Yeah.
And one of our guys, speaking of video games, it's like every time I walk in there, it's like I see him fix his screen really quick because he's playing some sort of shoot 'em up game.
Right.
Supposed
He's
to
got
be-
the double screen
Yeah.
going.
Right. Oops, mom's here.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
Okay. So now Float has gotten all these accolades, and you're actually up for a Peabody Award.
Oh, I actually no. We got the nomination and we didn't win, but I mean,
But being nominated for a
but it was
Peabody.
nominated. I got a nominee award, and I am super proud of it because we were the only animated short on there. I was looking at the
Wow.
competition, and I was up against Watchmen, like series.
Oh my gosh.
I was up against Watchmen and Fleabag, and I was like, oh, I was honored that an animated film was set to the same standards as those
Yeah.
shows. So to me, I took that as a win. I was like, okay,
It
so you saw our film could stand along these great high profile live action stories. I was so honored. And
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
And it's the truth. It can stand up with those.
Thank you.
It's such an emotional. We had such an emotional response to
Yeah.
that film.
I was bawling
both
my
did.
eyes out.
and
I
it's so
hope
beautiful.
this isn't the only autism related short or movie that you do, because we were just talking about hiring Sia. I don't know if you've heard in the news. We were just talking. We had two autistic individuals on before you, and they were talking about casting autistics versus casting neurotypicals. But I would love to see more animation with autistic characters. I think it's so important for kids.
Well,
I would love that too.
Yeah.
and it's interesting because the Spark program was created 2 shorts.
Yeah, there's also Loop.
Not just 1, but 2. There's also Loop,
Yeah,
and we'll have to have.
Well, that one
We'll have to have.
equally. I mean, equally because of the subject matter of severe autism, which is so untalked about, unheard of, unsupported. And it was really beautiful, especially to our friends who run the Severe Autism Alliance.
Yeah.
They were very, very moved by that.
You got 2 issues
Inclusion.
there: fatherhood and
Yes.
and
No,
severe
they
autism.
just, you guys really, you did the whole package there. And we as a community really applauded you. And we had Erica, what was Erica?
Erica
was-
Milstein.
Milsom.
Connecting.
Milsom.
Erica
Sorry.
Milsom.
Sorry, Erica.
She sweetest lady in the world, and
Yeah.
she came and our community was so stoked to have her speak about Loop and
We're
really
gonna have her on this show.
definitely.
Yeah.
You gotta
And,
have Erica on.
you know,
Yeah, we will.
Have you seen some of her drawings she's doing for the
Oh yeah,
pandemic?
no, they look great.
Unbelievable. She's doing a whole series of very beautiful
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
impressionistic,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
beautiful stuff. But there were so many families there that night with nonverbal children, and they really, really very emotional night for us.
It really meant something for them, and
Yeah.
as your film meant for dads. So, Bobby, we're running late.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
We love you, Bobby.
We'll
Love
talk to you
guys
soon.
too.
And next year, I want you in the auction next year. Okay.
I'll try. I'll definitely try.
Bobby, happy Thanksgiving to you and your beautiful family.
Yes.
And you too.
Thank you.
All right, Bobby. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Goodbye. Thanks.
Bye. Bobby Rubio from Pixar.
Such a nice.
So we got to get out of here. We got to skedaddle.
Oh my gosh, it's Thanksgiving.
We're late.
And you know what? We're not going to be here next week because Matt Asner, I'm going to take his phone, throw it in the pool, and he is going to take a break.
We're all going to take a break.
Yes.
Because next week is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And so what we want to say to all of you is have a great Thanksgiving. Don't get too close.
A small Thanksgiving.
A small Thanksgiving.
You don't need to invite
call
your
people.
next door neighbor and Harriet this year.
Thanksgiving on Zoom.
Yes.
But
we're going to have a small Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's actually my favorite holiday. So.
I know. You're going to have the greatest dinner of your life.
I'm
little
looking
brat.
forward to it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Keep your seatbelts
Thanks for
on.
joining us.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
We know we ask a lot from our patron and support network, and we are always so grateful for your generosity. In these challenging times, it's even harder to raise the funding we need to serve our community and achieve our goals. So we're always looking for new ways to maintain our revenue without adding additional burdens to our supporters. Today, we're excited to share a great opportunity that can really help our community and requires no additional out-of-pocket from you. We've partnered with the Liberty Company Insurance Brokers and their Liberty Cares program. Liberty Cares is simple. You already make monthly payments for your insurance needs, whether it's auto, home, or for your business. For every line of insurance you move to Liberty, they will donate 25% of the commissions they receive on your policies back to our cause. And under this special partnership arrangement, that donation will come to us again and again every year you keep your policy with Liberty. Often, you'll be able to move your insurance into this program simply by signing one form. It's that easy. The Liberty Company is one of the nation's largest insurance brokers, and they've won a number of recognitions for their excellent operations and workplace culture, so you can rest assured that you will be well taken care of. If you would like to learn more about how this new partnership with Liberty can help turn your insurance dollars into much-needed funds for our community, please visit libertycompany.com/libertycares, or shoot them an email at libertycares@libertycompany.com. And please be sure to let them know that you're part of our community so that they will credit the benefit of your policies back to our organization. Your ongoing support is much appreciated, so thank you in advance.